Okay, we are ready.
Okay, so I'm reconvening the meeting of the East Amwell Township Committee. Will folks rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone. On this beautiful sunny day, 70 degrees. We're going to start with open to the public on agenda items only. Would anyone like to be recognized? Okay, seeing none for on the agenda, we're now closed for public without objection. Oh, is it? Oh, yes, okay. Approval of minutes. Any questions, issues on minutes? Okay, may I have a motion to approve, do you want to do these separately, Linda, or together?
You can do them together.
Okay, motion to approve the minutes for March 13, 2025 regular session and April 17th, 2025 regular session minutes.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Bev. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so it's unanimous. Okay, special discussion segment. Shared Services Forum, Food Truck Ordinance, Senior Services. Jenna?
Oh, yeah, so two things. I attended a shared service meeting a few Saturdays ago for Hunterdon County. And the two things I just wanted to bring to, one thing for the residents' attention is that there is a lot of senior services that the county offers that I was unaware of. And I think maybe we could post something on our website or the VIP too. But they, hold on. You can use the Linkit, which is a transportation service, and you don't have to use one of their routes. They'll drive to like medical appointments if you need it. They have no interest loans available for seniors, like if they need a roof repaired. They have Mr. Fix-It, who will perform handyman work for free for senior citizens. They have vouchers they give out for senior citizens to go to a farmer market and get like a share of food on the weekends as well. And then there's also grants available for things like if they would need dental work done and stuff. So Hunterdon County offers a lot. And I think we should I think I'm gonna have somebody come talk about it, but if any seniors listening need anything like that and they wanna reach out to me or the county, I was really impressed with what they offer.
Is that income based though, or is it open to anybody over a certain age?
It appeared to be open to anybody over a certain age.
Okay.
And even the grants for like the dental work stuff, that wasn't even just for senior citizens. That could be anybody in a resident of the county up to like 20,000.
Oh, wow.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. And then the other thing they talked about is the food truck ordinance, which is interesting. What the county wants to do is instead of having all the food trucks register for each of the towns in the county, they would register at the county. And so, like, instead of them having to come pay each time to do like Night in the Park, they would pay the county one fee and they could go anywhere in the county. And they're planning to implement it in January of 2026. From a practical standpoint, it's probably a good thing because there's so many little towns and these food trucks probably aren't making a lot to pay all the stuff, but it cuts into the town's profit of what we were charging with our food truck ordinance stuff. So,
And
that's
Jenna,
an update.
I recall that Tracy Carluccio, the chair of the Board of Health, had mentioned that our Board of Health has standards for food trucks. So I wonder how that would play into it if the county took jurisdiction.
That's a good question. I didn't ask that, but I'm talking to somebody tomorrow. Maybe I'll find out more about that. But yeah, they would. I know the county would still inspect and they still have to do the fire inspections and everything, but I guess they'd have like a certificate that they would then call Linda and say, hey,
Amy.
Hey, Amy,
Amy.
right, sorry. That we have the food truck compliance for the year.
And maybe if you mention it to Tracy too, she can give you whatever information you need and tell us what the board thinks about it, but that's great. Yeah, and thanks for finding out about all those shared service items. I think posting stuff on the website's a great idea.
Okay, yeah.
Any other questions or
No, that's
comments
great.
on that? All right, perfect. So speeding on Wirtsville Road, so I got two outreaches from residents on Wirtsville Road who were concerned about speeding on Wirtsville Road. And Mike followed up with the state police. Mike, do you wanna?
I talked to the state police again today. They're gonna station some cars and they're available. They asked me on times. I rechecked the emails. I didn't see specific times in the email. I just
Yeah,
asked them
there
that,
were.
you know, rush hour, morning, afternoon, and when they're free, so they're gonna spend a little more time on Virtual Road. They hadn't received any direct complaints to their office, but since we did, I shared it with them, so hopefully we can, you know, maybe slow it down a little bit.
Excellent, thanks for getting right on top of that. I told the residents we would do some follow-up, so I appreciate, Mike, that you did so right away. So we'll see how they do, see what happens there, and we'll keep monitoring that. So DPW matters, there are a couple, these are mostly FYIs to residents. So we have a couple of vacancies on DPW. One person resigned, another person's gonna be retiring. We've posted, and we're looking for qualified folks, and we're gonna do our best to see if we can get perhaps some higher skilled folks to make sure our DPW staff has what they need, so that's an ongoing issue. Stormwater monitoring, the DP Tier 4 requirements for stormwater are gonna require our town to do annual monitoring. And so we're investigating ways to make that happen. You know, it involves checking infalls and outfalls and making sure they're not blocked, also cleaning out you know, blockages. So that's a function that we're required to do by state requirement, and we're looking for very efficient and reasonable ways to do that. So that's another issue that we're working on actively. And the final DPW item is also one to let folks know we're working on, and that is border road maintenance with Delaware Township. As some may be aware, for approximately 30 years, there's been an agreement between East Amwell Township and Delaware Township regarding the maintenance of border roads. These are roads that are shared by our two municipalities. In most cases, the jurisdictional boundary for the towns goes down the center line of these roads. So it presents an issue when DPW folks are doing maintenance on them. You know, for some time, I guess, ago, one snowplow truck, for example, would drive down one side and the other town would drive down the other side. The DPW superintendents all those years ago thought that that didn't make sense, and they convinced the two towns to enter into a sharing agreement. And so we've had these towns designated, you know, and mapped, and there's been an agreement that, you know, although a particular road may be in one municipality, the other municipality might be doing the snow plowing and doing the minor maintenance for that road. So at this juncture, Delaware's reached out to us with the notion of changing the way that would work. So we're in discussions with them. Our bottom line is we want something that works for DPWs, both sides, but we also want to make sure that there's fairness and that there are active programs for maintenance of these roads, so that by virtue of having an agreement, you know, these obligations are not falling away. So we had a meeting with both parties, representative of the Township Committee, Township lawyers, Township engineers, DPW superintendents. So we had the first meeting. We'll be continuing with that, but so that folks know that's an ongoing issue that we have. Any questions about that from anyone? Make sure I've covered all the items are on here. I think so on the agenda. One other thing to mention, I see Andrea Bennett's here. You know, Andrea had notified us that she has some concerns and wants to comment on the garbage carting situation in the Sourlands, because there's just one carter. And so we've invited her to obviously come here today. We want to make sure our township committee meetings are places where residents can voice concerns and make comments about things that are going on. You know, even if, you know, we don't choose the garbage carters, because we don't. But nevertheless, it's an issue that has some significance to folks in that Sutherland Mountain District, and so there'll be some comments on that, so make sure you're aware of that, and if other folks have comments, we'll welcome those as well. And finally, traffic calming in Ringo's Village. I've asked the county to get back to us and tell us what the results are from the data that they compiled at our request, that will show the number, the volume of traffic that's going in downtown Ringo's and the speed of that traffic, because as you all know, on behalf of the Township Committee, I'd raised concerns that we have speeding there. We had a fatality some years ago. It needs to be safer for pedestrians. It needs to be a better environment for our residents. So I'm going to try to get that data. We had, as you know, gotten the state to agree to let us restripe the roads and to start working on signage for them back before it got cold, but the county insisted on more data first, and so that project was put on hold until we got here to the springtime. So we've got that back on the front burner, and we'll let you know what the results of that are and how we're going to try to get more traffic calming in Ringo. Does anyone else have a discussion item to raise at this juncture? Okay, so I think that covers item 10 on the agenda. I think we're up to 12. Ordinance number 25-05, second reading. Linda?
An ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:45.14.
Okay, so folks know this is the ordinance. This ordinance is the annual budgetary item let's see, this is the, make sure it was right. This is a public hearing, right? Yeah, so this is a public hearing on the budget that we introduced last time.
Well, not yet. We're not on the budget.
one?
We're just on the cap bank ordinance
So
right
the
now.
cap first?
Yeah, so this
Okay.
is what allows the municipality to exceed the appropriation limits if the need arises. We just have to adopt it every year before we adopt the budget.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what we have. So at this time, we're open to the public for comments about that cap. Again, as Linda said, this is something that we need to do to give us flexibility as we go through each year, not that we have anything in particular right now. Yes, Francis.
Francis Davigan, Speed Trap, East Amwell. My question is, I'm assuming, sadly, that exceeding the cap is going to come up. How much is the slack that you've got? How much money are you able to draw from? Because I know it's, what, the 2% or something? Because the way everything's getting transferred and taken away, I suspect there's going to be a few more high colonic surprises in the budget that will cause people to need to come up with more money, whether it's to get somebody on the DPW or somewhere else. So if the budget's 1,400,000 and whatever for local, how high can it go should you need to?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything specific, right, Jenna? I mean, this is not for any particular item. This is just a
I
general
think
authority.
there's a dollar amount in the ordinance, which is in your signature folder. Right?
It's basically a slush fund that I just,
Yeah.
I was speeding
On the
through.
ordinance, 2505, there is an amount in there.
2505. This has a dollar on
And we also have your life agreement you can speak to,
it?
a specific question.
It's-
IT left it?
Are you familiar with that? You like it?
Yeah, but it is written on the ordinance, I don't have it in front of me.
It should have been like the third thing in the folder.
I just had the folder with
The ones that I have start with 81.
2505,
Yeah.
whereas the Township Committee hereby determines that a 3.5% increase in the budget for said year, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, whereas the Township Committee determines that a 3.5 increase in the budget for the year, which would amount to $62,168.05 in excess of the increase in final appropriations is permitted, is advisable and necessary.
So basically, you got 62 grand of slack.
So it's about 62,000,
Okay.
yes.
Now, assuming that Murphy's Law applies, first horse I ever bred, applies, and you would have to go beyond that, would that have to be an amended budget, or take from surplus, or whatever?
Either.
You like
We
it?
could do either
Either
Mhm.
or,
a combination of both.
okay. Would that involve potentially a tax increase, or that would get caught up next year? You would take
That
it
would
from
be
the
fun
slack?
next year.
Caught up next year, okay. And, all right, now, wait for the next one, just was trying to figure out.
Yep, fair enough. Any other comments, questions? Okay, so we're close to the public without objection. So my notes here say for introduction here, but I think this is for adoption, isn't it?
Where do you,
Unless I missed that.
are you on number 12?
Yeah, we're ready for adoption, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So may I have a motion to adopt ordinance 25-05?
So moved.
Thank you, a second?
Second.
Okay.
Ms. Casper Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Enton?
Yes.
Mr. Darty?
Yes.
Mr. Dendis?
Yes.
Mayor DePiero?
Yes. Okay, so now we're up to the municipal budget, right, Linda?
Yep.
Item 13.
Yes.
2025 municipal budget, public hearing, amendment, adoption. So we doing the adoption as part of this or separate?
So I have to read by title. So municipal budget of the Township of East Amwell, County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey for the year 2025. And now you can open for the public hearing. We have to do the public hearing before the amendment.
So we're doing the amendments second.
Yeah, they gave us a specific order that we had to do it in. So-
Okay, so let me just give an introduction then over both this, because, and I'll do this just in advance of both these two items, because we need to do them separately. So we have the budget that we introduced last time that we'll be voting on, and we also have an amendment that was occasioned by a review by the state. They did their final review, and some minor adjustments need to be made. But overall, we're pleased to adopt a very frugal budget. Despite strong inflationary pressures, we were very successful in seeking and obtaining grants, and we were very cost-conscious on all budget items. The budget that we proposed and are considering for adoption today would have resulted in a tax cut. However, the state reduced our state aid this year by approximately $140,000. Which is a very large sum for a small town like ours. And this is going to result, as I mentioned last time, in a very modest increase. The budget and amendment that are up for consideration tonight translate to a $13 increase for a house that's assessed at $350,000, which is the average home value in East Amwell. So giving everybody the big picture item here, the budget and the amendment that we're reviewing and voting on approval would involve only a $13 increase for the average home value in East Amwell.
13 for the year or 13 a month?
No,
13
for the year. Yeah, $13 for the year for the average size home. And even if the home's much larger than that, again, it's a very small increase. And
Yeah,
again,
and if it was double, if a 700,000 on the home would be $26.
Right.
Pretty much.
exactly.
Can do that.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I know folks like to know the bottom line before we go through details, so that's what that is. And again, disappointing for us because we would have had a tax cut here, but for the great loss in state aid, which is just very unfortunate. But that's the way that is, and so this is how we've acted. So, okay, so we have our resolution read by title. At this time, I open for comments from the public. Yes, Francis.
Get my steps in.
Perfect.
And I wanna, as Francis is walking up, I wanna add too, that we use the house at $350,000, that's what the average home is assessed at East Amwell, that's why we use that number, so.
Correct.
Okay, I didn't get through to find out where, or if it's a line item in the budget, but there were a lot of discussions at various meetings last year about the rescue squad and that they had to then ask for the $25,000 that they've gotten since God was a pup, and they never received that. And is $25,000 for them in this budget? And, you know, do they have to hop on one foot or hop through hoops? I mean, people have been generous, they're busy saving lives and helping people rather than shilling for money, and they really shouldn't have to. We've got a fire tax, so the fire company's taken care of, but the rescue squad is on its own. And I know Raritan's rescue squad is wanting to build something down here, maybe to expand their scope in anticipation of taking our territory. But I'd like to reiterate the strong community support for the rescue squad and the work that they do, and not only should they be made whole for whatever might have fallen through the cracks that they didn't get their 25 grand from 2024, but to assure that they get at least the 25 grand for 2025. I realize, just like you got the surprise and woohoo from the state on aid getting cut, I suspect that with Medicare and everything else getting dumped onto the states, the trend is not going to be to giving communities more money, but we need to take care of our own and the people who take care of us. And, you know, I'm one person here, but I've heard from several people that question as to what happened to the squad, what's gonna happen to the squad, and they've got very strong community support, and it's justified by all the good work that they do. So mowing a lawn one time less, that's something, and insurance and things like that. But that is the cost and the role of government to keep the community safe, and the people like that lady, I'm assuming lady who fell off the horse and got medevaced out, or that poor gentleman who was killed over on Wurtsville Road. The squad shows up even if it's Mother's Day, and we need to support them. And that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
So if somebody can answer where that 25 grand went from last year, because I know that they did send in the request as you requested. I don't wanna have to attach 200 signatures or something to this year's request. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the public? Yes, Rick? And by the way, Jenna, what's the figure in the budget for rescue squad? Do you?
It's 25.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
yeah, so
it's
Jenna's
25, it's in
confirming,
there.
yeah, we have 25 in the budget, I couldn't remember the exact number.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
Are
about
you?
last year, where did the 25 from 2024 go?
it was in last year's budget.
Yeah. We always budget 25,000.
Yeah, but then you asked for a request, which they provided, and they never got a check. So something fell through
They just,
the
I think, for
cracks.
instance, they just provided the check, or I'm sorry, the request a month ago for this year's budget.
Yeah, but they got a request for last year's budget, and they provided that, and they never got the
That-
25,000.
I don't recall a written request last year. I don't recall that, but.
Well, Mike, see if we
You're
got,
on my sheet.
take a look at the request we got this year and we'll go
Okay.
from there. Yes, Rick?
I just did the math, and my tax increase based on these numbers would be less than $80, which I think is incredibly impressive, given what you're up against. I'm not sure how you pulled this off with $140,000 cut in state aid. That's a huge cut to the budget. I mean, I haven't looked at the budget this year, but I imagine it's around 3.5 million. So 140,000 is a big hit. The fact that you were able to address that without materially raising taxes, you're to be commended for that. I mean, I use mine as the baseline because I was told by our assessor I pay the highest property tax in the township and my increase is going to be under $80. That's a great job. I'm sure it took a lot of work to get there, having been through this process a few times, and I just wanted to say thank you for being fiscally responsible when many other government bodies aren't. It's nice to see a committee that doesn't view its residents as ATMs that kind of just spit out money. So I just wanted to thank you for your efforts. All of you. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else? Okay, without objection, we're closing the public at this time.
We need a motion to amend. I forgot that on the cheat sheet. Motion to amend the budget and second,
So
and then,
motion,
yeah.
we vote on the
and
budget, then we vote on the amendment?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, let me see, anyone have any questions or comments?
I just want, I know we said this last time, I just want to reiterate too
Yep.
that this budget didn't cut any unnecessary services, like, we still anticipate hiring somebody to replace DPW and deputy clerk, like, we made budget,
Yep.
we took that into consideration when we were doing the budget, so.
Yep. Agreed. Okay, so as Linda's pointed out, may I have a motion to amend the budget to do those technical things that the state required before we vote?
So moved.
Okay, may I have a second? Okay, and then Linda, now we can proceed to the vote on the regular budget?
Yeah, the adoption of the budget.
Okay, so now, may I have a motion to adopt the 2025 municipal budget?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Mike. Linda?
Ms. Casper Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Enton,
Yes.
Mr. Nardi,
Yes.
Mr. Dendis,
Yes.
Mayor DePiero.
Yes. Okay, and now, you ready, I guess we need to call the vote on the amendment? Do we need, any further process?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're up to number 14?
Yes.
Okay. An ordinance of,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Do we need to vote on the amendment to the budget?
Okay. Ms. Casper Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Enton.
Yes.
Mr. Nardi.
Yes.
Mr. Dendis.
Yes.
Mayor DePiero.
Yes. Okay, good.
Sure,
I know
that's the
there's a
first
lot
time
of
I ever did an
process in there.
amendment.
Thanks for tracking
No
that.
problem.
Okay, so now, Linda, tell me if I'm correct, we're up to item 14, which is
Yes.
historic preservation?
Yep.
Okay.
It-
Ordinance 25-08, first reading introduction.
An ordinance of the Township of East Amwell, County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 86 Historic Preservation, Section 8D2 of the Code of the Township of East Amwell, entitled Committee Membership and Powers.
Okay, I'm sure folks will recall, we had a big discussion previously on historic preservation, various ordinance items, and we decided to have a couple different, to handle it in segments. The first segment will be to address the quorum requirement, which was requested of us by Historic Preservation Committee that we change the quorum requirement to make it more practical. Jenna, do you want to explain any more about what we would do in this?
Yeah, no, that, just like you said, we're just kind of doing this in chunks in this, so it's, like I said, they were, for some reason, the quorum, and I know Rick explained it last time, but the quorum was just 3 members, so now it's changed to majority.
And they were saying it was
voting members.
difficult for them to have 3, but if they could have, 50% plus 1
Yeah.
or something, that would be more manageable, so.
And they can have committees then too, kind of little working groups and stuff, I
Right.
believe, right, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because otherwise we couldn't have subcommittees
Yeah.
work on anything.
Oh, that's right, thank you.
Yeah.
So.
So that's an easy fix.
Okay, so we're moving forward with that, and we'll keep you up to date on other items. Next, I think we're gonna try to introduce something which would provide historic preservation protection for historic bridges and culverts. So that's the next item that was given to us, and we have folks working on that. So may I have a motion to introduce ordinance 25-08 with a public hearing date of June 12, 2025?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Can we excuse Yolika now?
Oh, yes, thank you, like, I'm sorry. You were so fortunate, no questions. Thank you for your work on the budget.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you for letting me know, Linda. I missed that.
She was giving me the look.
That's important Item 15 on the agenda, ordinance 25-09, first reading introduction.
An ordinance of the Township of East Amwell, County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, to modify and amend Chapter 129, Section 1 of the East Amwell Township Municipal Code, tree harvesting.
So a quick explanation of this item. The NJDEP has required all municipalities that are, again, in the higher stormwater tier that they put us into, to make sure that our tree harvesting ordinance has particular language on replacement of trees. We already have a tree replacement ordinance as part of tree harvesting, but we need to do some technical amendments essentially to make sure that it satisfies the DEP. So we've introduced something, and you folks have a copy, which show the very minor edits, but that will satisfy the DEP. So that's the reason for us introducing something for consideration at the next meeting. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 25-09 with a public hearing date of June 12, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and second with Al. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. Item 16 on the agenda, ordinance 25-10, first reading introduction.
Capital ordinance providing for various 2025 general capital improvements by and in the Township of East Amwell in the County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, appropriating $50,000 therefore from the Capital Improvement Fund to pay for the cost thereof.
Jenna, did you want to give a quick explanation for this one, or how do you do it?
No, I can, do it, yeah, so this is 50,000, it's basically to prep the roads, so they can be chip sealed and that, well, it kind of preps the roads and fixes them in preparation of chip seal.
And
We typically, that's what we use every year is 50,000, this is our typical
Right.
standard amount.
And we do that because, as Jenna's mentioned before, we want to make sure to keep our roads in good shape for our residents. So by doing this ongoing repair work, prep and repair work, which we're continuing with, this will make sure that our residents have roads in reasonable condition. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 25-10, public hearing date of June 12, 2025?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Beth. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. Item 17 on the agenda, ordinance 25-11, first reading introduction.
Capital ordinance providing for various 2025 general capital improvements by and in the Township of East Amwell in the County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, appropriating $100,000 therefore from the Capital Improvement Fund to pay for the cost thereof.
Okay, Jenny, you worked on this one as well?
Yeah, this is for the actual chip sealing of various roads, and I know Jason has a list of what roads he's working on, and again, 100,000 is a typical amount we put in every year to, keep our roads.
Excellent. And we have been making progress on a number of roads, so this will keep that going. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 25-11 with a public hearing date of June 12, 2025?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Al. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, passes unanimously. Item 18, ordinance 25-12, first reading introduction.
Capital ordinance providing for various 2025 general capital improvements by and in the Township of East Amwell in the County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, appropriating $80,000 therefore from the Capital Improvement Fund to pay for the cost thereof.
So this one is for Mountain Road. As our residents probably are aware, Mountain Road is a very long road, but we do have a grant from the state to pay for a chunk of it, but we have to cover like soft costs and things like that. So this is for, I believe, section 2 of the road. So this is what the engineers recommended we put aside for it. And to be clear too, this isn't all of our capital budget. This is just projects we know we want to do right away and get started on, and there is still capital money that we'll be using for various projects in the town, depending on how, like the North Hill grant potentially works out, and things like that and stuff, so.
Yeah, this is another example where we've gotten a lot of grant monies specifically to help our residents with costs, to deal with things like roads. So this is important. I believe this one too has an expiration date, so we're moving forward
Yeah.
expeditiously because the state again notified us, with a grant of this size, we need to keep the project moving. So this ordinance would do that. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 25-12 with a public hearing date of June 12, 2025?
So moved.
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. Okay, item 19 on the agenda, consent agenda. So consent agenda, as everyone can read, hiring of summer playground directors, authorizing summer hours for full-time employees, approval of Major Taylor Cycling Club for an annual ride, a refund of driveway permit, and a refund of another driveway permit. These are when folks have had to bond work when they had driveway work done, and when our DPW examines and finds them in compliance, they are entitled to get a refund of any unused portion of that. And then finally, our general resolution to authorize bills and claims for the month. May I have a motion to approve resolutions 2025-85 through 2025-90?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Bev. All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Casper Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Enton?
Yes.
Mr. Nardi?
Yes.
Mr. Dendis?
Yes.
Mayor DePiero?
Yes. Unanimously. Okay, other resolutions, we're up to item 20 on the agenda. 25-91, resolution to authorize salary increase for Department of Public Works employee sheets. This resolution increases the salary for our DPW employee, $2 an hour, as promised in his hiring resolution after passing his CDL test. Mike, you want to give a little background on how that works?
We've asked. I know it's not that simple, but when we hired him, he didn't have a CDL. He started at a lower rate. When he passed his CDL, he gets a salary bump. It's a couple dollars an hour. He went to 2-week school that we sent him to, and he came out with eventually a positive result, so he gets the bump.
All right, well, congratulations for passing. That allows him to do more functions with his work. May I have a motion to approve
I think the
resolution?
big thing is the snowplow trucks. Without that, he can't drive the snowplow.
Right,
Or
exactly.
anything above an F-550.
Right, because they're so large.
Yeah.
May I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-91?
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Okay, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Casper Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Enton?
Yes.
Mr. Nardi?
Yes.
Mr. Dendis?
Yes.
Mayor DePiero?
Yes. Resolution 2025-92, resolution to appoint Natalie Nelson as Parks and Recreation Committee Secretary. Jen, do you have a background or his background on that? Al, thank you.
Yeah, our current the Park and Rec Secretary Meredith can no longer do the work as she's busy with personal things, so losing her is a huge loss, and Natalie stepped up to take over as the secretary. I think it's a great idea, and we'll see what happens for 2026, but I'm glad
Yeah.
to see this pass.
And I want to thank Natalie for all the work she's been doing and for being willing to do this too and keep everything running. It's been going great, so. May I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-92?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Casper Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Enton?
Yes.
Mr. Nardi?
Yes.
Mr. Dendis?
Yes.
Mayor DePiero?
Yes. 2025-93, resolution to appoint planning board secretary. I don't know, Emily, if you wanted to present or to ask, answer questions about this, we have the chair of the planning board.
I'm happy to.
Sure, why don't you come up and explain?
Emily Goodweiler, Chair of the Planning Board. So our previous Planning Board Secretary, Christina Panache, is no longer with us. We undertook a search for a new Planning Board Secretary. We had a couple recommendations. The one that we were recommending, myself and Matt Coe had interviewed. We wrote a full job description. We interviewed him, we both were extremely impressed. She had, I think, 3 to 4 years' experience as planning board secretary. She was previously in Pennington, she's now in Hopewell, where they have hundreds of applications apparently. So I was asking her, how do you handle the 10 we have? And she said, no, that's all. So, that's that. And then Also, she came highly recommended by one of our current professionals who has worked with her in the past. So her recommendations were, I feel quite good about this, her recommendations were strong. So yeah, any questions?
Okay.
And she's prepared to start.
Excellent.
She, just so you know, she will not be in the office full-time, but she will be holding, her plan right now as we speak is to hold, office hours on Tuesday nights along with everyone else. And she will also be available by phone and by appointment for residences.
Great. And her name's Katie Rotolo?
Katie Renolo.
Renolo. Perfect. Okay.
Or actually, her legal name is Catherine.
Okay. Well, excellent. Well, thank you, Emily. Thanks for all your work. And,
Thank you, Emily.
may I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-93?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Casper Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Enton?
Yes.
Mr. Nardi?
Yes.
Mr. Dendis?
Yes.
Mayor DePiero?
Yes. Resolution 2025-94, resolution to appoint municipal housing liaison. Emily's notified me that this individual who we've just approved is also willing to serve as our municipal housing liaison. And Bev was involved. Thank you.
Bev interviewed her.
Interviewed, yes. So
Yes.
Bev, maybe you want to give a little explanation of what that role is. Or how she-
Yeah, the role, we need to have a township employee as the official liaison. There's a lot of overlap between planning board and the affordable housing liaison, so it makes sense to have someone serve in both positions. And Katie sounds like she'll be a wonderful fit for this.
Excellent. Well, again, thanks to Emily and thank you to you for interviewing as well. I'm very excited that this person, comes so well recommended, and we want to make sure our planning board is doing a great job. We want to make sure they have all the tools that they need for planning board generally, but also for affordable housing. May I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-94?
So moved?
Thank you.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Casper Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Enton?
Yes.
Mr. Nardi?
Yes.
Mr. Dendis?
Yes.
Mayor DePiero?
Yes. Up to item 22 on the agenda, approval of bills of the evening. May I have a motion to approve the May 19, 2025 bills of the evening?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, issues? All right. Jenna, thanks for reviewing. I know you do that, and I appreciate that. All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Casper Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Enton?
Yes.
Mr. Nardi?
Yes.
Mr. Dendis?
Yes.
Mayor DePiero?
Yes. Item 23, approval of administrative reports. May I have a motion to approve the administrative reports?
So moved.
Al, thank you. Second? Second. All right, thank you, Al. Thank you, Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. See, I guess we're up to open to the public for, new business, thank you. I missed new business. Does anyone have new business to raise?
I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, so our last township committee meeting, I know a couple of people came up and were talking about the property on Rocktown Road. So I drove to West Amwell, talked to the construction department, they were on it, had a meeting with the owner and some of his contingents. I called this morning to get a new update. May 12th, they demoed the barn. Basement's gonna stay. They do need to secure it as well as the pool. They need to secure that as well, and the fencing needs work. There's also some cameras somewhere on the property, so if somebody's dumping, they could find out the person that's doing the dumping. So that's the update. At least they're on it.
Who demoed this stuff, the property owner or construction?
So, I'm assuming it's the property owner, but they had to get the permit and things of that nature, but, yeah. So, at least something was done.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the follow-up. I just
Yeah.
want to say in general, all of you on the township committee have done a fabulous job immediately responding when residents call with issues. I think that's so important, and this is just another example. Getting to things right away. As volunteers on the dais here, we know everyone has full-time work, so actually you retired, but even so, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
So thanks for doing that. Thanks everybody for following up. By following up quickly, we can get information to our residents and just making sure it's
We are volunteers, we are elected. It's just to
Indeed.
do our job.
Indeed.
We're
Correct.
not being paid.
Right.
Yes.
But yeah.
Okay, any other new business? Anybody? Okay. So now we're up to, open to the public. Item 26 on the agenda for items not on the agenda. Yes, comments? Francis, you can go first. I know Andrew's here too.
Really getting the steps in.
We're not using the podium anymore.
Oh,
I like that.
did it get moved up?
Yeah, I don't
Was it
know.
always at,
No, I feel like it got.
I feel like
moved
it used
up.
to be up, down there more.
Yeah.
I
We'll move
kind
it
of
back. You
forgot
can-
it was there.
Mic on, can you tell?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, before
Thank you.
Francis.
my voice carries anyway. Francis Gavigan, same old, and just would like to reiterate what Al's mentioned, because I went out there and took photographs, not only of the stuff that was dumped there, but also someone had dumped a sofa down at that pond, that I'm not sure if it's on the same property, and I sent you the photos.
Yes, you did.
And all of that other stuff, so it's good that people pay attention without getting certain clothing in a knot. But they were in the process of demolishing that barn when I was there, and it looked like they were doing a professional job, and hopefully they didn't just knock it down and go boom, boom, like they were disassembling it, because it's an historic building. So, things in that regard. Thank you for passing part of the hysterical thing. Please get to the rest of it, you know, and things to that effect. It's not that complicated, and I'm sure Bev and the committee would appreciate it. I did check out when I popped out, I asked your treasurer what would be the process, because I saw that you had appropriated $25,000 for the rescue squad last year. And my understanding is, yes, there's money, the money is still left over for 24 in there, couldn't do anything for 23. I have to ask the township committee, so my question is, well, there's two parts. I'm asking you to give the squad their $25,000 for last year, whether or not the request went astray. There's a lot of things that happen. And do I have to do it in writing? That would be an answer provided probably by Frank, but it's within your discretion to give the squad the $25,000 from last year as well as this year that could help them deal with the things to keep our squad local, available, and things to that effect. And I was remiss in not complimenting you on keeping the costs down. I understand, Jenna, you were primarily handling the budget juggling
I was involved, but.
in consultation, but,
Thank you.
you know, give it where it's due. And that, you know, all in all, I haven't seen anybody passing my house with tiki torches. I know there are folks that aren't happy with Republic. I've had them for a number of years. I've had no problems. Maybe it's my personality, who knows? But I've got a dumpster and they come and they empty it, and if there's an issue or it needed anything, they fixed it and upgraded it, and I know what my costs are going to be going forward because I entered into a contract with them, setting limits and things like that. So there is a way, if you are, shall we say, a little on my personality stream, to get and negotiate a successful outcome. And they do a decent job. They haven't hit my house or knocked down a building, and I have nothing to complain about with them, but I understand there are people who are unhappy, at least from the signs I've seen very recently. But anyway, that's it. Good job. Give them the money, and if I have to follow up with it in writing, let me know, and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew,
Bye.
would you like to speak?
Okay. Andrea Bonnet, Ridge Road. I do have this discussion about Republic, and I want to be sure, because some people seem to think I was going to ask the Township Committee to manage the whole issue of trash in East Amwell, and I certainly do not think that that is your task or anything. But what I would love to do, and I'm very disappointed that there aren't more people tonight that are interested in talking about this, residents. But I was appalled about a month ago when I got a quarterly increase from $160, which I already thought was a lot, because I put my trash can out maybe every 3 or 4 weeks, and recycling maybe every 2 months. But it went from 160 to 190, and when I called them, they would not negotiate at all, although they put me on hold for quite a long time, but I evidently have a bad reputation with them. But, so I went to the recycling depot a week ago and with this sign, and I got quite a few responses from people who are upset about Republic. And some of them told me that they paid, some of them were single women like me who do not generate a huge amount of trash because I don't have a big family at home. I heard everything from $102 a quarter to over $300 a quarter. And this is just crazy. I mean, I have tried to find out from Republic what their fee schedule is, and they don't seem to have a fee schedule. I've seen things on Nextdoor, people are telling me that Republic charges whatever they can get away with, and I have no way of knowing if that's true, but certainly people in this town seem to feel like it. They also feel like you can negotiate sometimes and get your fee lowered, but then within a few months or a year at the most, it goes zooming right back up to what it was before. So I did try to negotiate. Then I finally sent them because they sent me my $190 bill, and I wrote on it that I wanted to cancel my service effective May 1st. And I sent it from the post office with registered mail return receipt requested around, I don't know, May 6th or something. I have not heard from them, but today I got an email and a snail mail reminding me that my payment was overdue. So I don't know what they're doing with my registered letter, but they're certainly not interested in dealing with me, except in accusing me of not paying my bill. I also didn't want to pay their fee for having trash cans picked up. So I put them in my car one by one, made 2 trips to their facility on River Road, dropped them off, took photographs, which I have saved on my phone with showing the number and, you know, the serial number, whatever, and then the building in the background so they could see where I dropped it off. So they haven't come after me yet about the trash cans. So anyway, I think that I do have names of people that I've been talking to on Nextdoor and Facebook, and so there are some irate residents, but they don't seem to be here tonight. Then I also, if I may have your permission, since I don't think I've used up my whole 10 minutes, one of my neighbors on Lindbergh Road, right near, just almost opposite where the old Peacocks was, Lisa Theodore, asked me to read a statement because she had an emergency and could not come tonight. So she said, I've been a resident in East Amwell Township for 6 years. Now again, this is Lisa Theodore talking, I'm reading verbatim, and I can leave the copy with you if you like. When I moved here, I just went with the trash service the previous owners had signed with. Over time, they have increased rates. I had seen several provider names on curbside garbage cans and decided to see if anyone could offer me a better rate. Dave's in Hillsborough won't come to my street, again, Lindbergh Road. Number 2, the company whose name begins with C, which I think is Casella, maybe is that the right one? Pink Garbage Cans is no longer serving this area, even if they're still in business, so maybe that's not Casella, something else. There was another Premier that is also no longer in business. Number 4, there was another, but they only offer commercial pickup. The end result is that Republic is the only service that covers my street. We're being held hostage by one company, and they can charge whatever they want as a result. So I just would like to comment, I'd like to request at some point, if we might be able to, if we do get enough people that would like to come to discuss this, if we could use this room, you know, make reservations and use this room for such a gathering. And I certainly do understand that the Township Committee is not tasked with getting involved in negotiating with any trash company. But I would like to take some leadership with this because I feel like they're ripping off a lot of people, and I don't think they should be allowed to go. I mean, they should have a set fee for if you're getting the same amount of cans and the same size of cans and so forth, everybody should get charged the same. I mean, this is like a no-brainer. So that's it. So thank you very much.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you.
for raising that issue. Yeah, of course, if you get a group, I'm sure you could use this room for discussing it. And, you know, anyone out there who's listening, you know, if you have a concern about this, you know, reach out to Andrea, because I know she wanted the word out there that if this is a concern that you have, if you live in the Sarah Mountain District, you
It
know,
seems to be especially the sour ones that are getting neglected.
Yeah.
Have you
I
tried
think-
companies that may come out of Hopewell, like who?
I haven't
that
tried
you
any other
pretty know
companies
that-
yet, but I'm looking for names of possible companies.
Because maybe a company that's serving Hopewell Borough might come up, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, like, I mean, RVD is
Actually,
like
I think
nationwide.
it might be Republic, because when I drive into Hopewell, I see a lot of Republic trucks going down Greenwood Avenue and
They're probably the biggest, right, I mean, we have Casella, I think, Elmore, then Casella bought Elmore. They seem to all get eaten up, you know, become one big company. Then eventually probably RVD buys them all, but, you know, right now I have Casella, so I think they're still in business. I had Michelle check it, we're paying LMR, but Casella's servicing us, so, I don't know, same cans, different
Even
truck.
when I was at the recycling depot, one nice lady came and talked to me. I didn't know very many of the people that came and talked to me. There were people that were using the recycling depot mainly, of course, and then they saw my sign. But she is a pastor of a church just up on 202, and I think I'm not sure if it's still in East Hamwell or just over the line. But she said she has, for the church, a small company from Trenton. And she gave me the name of that company. And, you know, that might even be possible to recruit a real small family.
Yeah.
You know, if we had enough
Yeah,
people.
right, I mean,
They're
that's what I'm
not gonna
thinking.
wanna just come to my house.
Well, that's why folks have a concern if they reach out to you and you put together a group of people, then maybe you can get another Carter interested in bidding for services or, yeah, it's a good idea.
All right, thank you very
All
much.
right, well, listen, how you make out. Again, if anyone is concerned with this issue, contact Andrea.
I did put my email address on the next door, and I did bring a sign-up sheet tonight, but since there are so few people in the
Okay.
audience, I guess I don't get a lot of sign-ups. But yes, please do reach out to me.
Okay, thank you.
No, just her
Oh,
sign-up sheets.
Francis, show the sign-up sheets back there for anybody. Do you have a comment to anyone on it? Yes, please, come up.
Hi, Donis Maximovich, Rileyville Road. I bring to you a concern with the lack of staffing in the municipal offices. And to give you a brief history, I worked for the township for a little over 10 years, from, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, from 1998 to 2009. And at that point in time, we had a clerk who was clerk and registrar. That was a full-time person, and she was here Tuesday evenings. We had a deputy clerk / registrar, who was also Board of Health secretary and construction secretary. That was one full-time person. The construction official was here he was East Amwell employee, he was here for daily inspections Tuesday evenings and Thursdays 4 to 6, with 3 inspectors. There was no cost to the taxpayers for any of the construction services because the permitting fees covered all the costs. We had an office assistant who was also the tax collector's assistant and dog licensing. She was full-time. All 3, the clerk, the deputy clerk, and the office assistant were notaries. The clerk and deputy clerk never left the office at the same time except for a quarterly state meeting that we went to. And as I said, we were all notaries, so the township was covered at all times with a notary. The municipal offices were only closed when there was a state of emergency snowstorm. The tax collector was full-time when I first started working here, and then she was reduced to 3 days a week. And she was also here on Tuesday evenings. We had a planning board administrator who was here full-time, and she was here Tuesday evenings. We had a zoning board secretary who was here 2 days a week and could meet by appointment. And eventually the planning board and zoning board secretaries were combined to one person who was here 5 days a week and here Tuesday evenings. We had the FOSBI administrator. She was here 1 day a week and could also meet by appointment. Tax collector was here Tuesday evenings and would meet by appointment. We had a zoning officer who was here Tuesday evenings, Thursdays 4 to 6, and rode around the township making sure ordinances were being followed. And we had a housing liaison who was here part-time and met with by appointment. I have come to the township office in the last maybe 2.5 months several times, and I was not able to be serviced. One time I came in and I was at the front counter ringing the bell saying, hello, hello, is anybody here? And eventually a person came around, didn't even come to the window, didn't identify herself, and said, I can't help you. So I said, okay, fine. So I am concerned that our township residents are not being well served. That if they come to the municipal office, we need people who have posted hours and who are here when their hours are posted. So please consider this. I really think that we do deserve a full service municipality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the folks know, overall, we're here, we have staff here 8 to 3 each day, and we have Tuesday nights our night if folks want to come in to see some of our professionals. And in terms of, we have some vacancies which we have been working to fill, but are having trouble filling some vacancies, like for deputy clerk, for example. And so we are actively working on that, but you know, we have those hours. There'll be a slight change in summer, where I think, what are the reduced hours on Friday, Linda?
It's reducing, it's 8 to 12:30 Fridays, but we're coming in at 8 during the week to make up for that time that we're not here on Friday
So
afternoons.
Friday afternoons, there won't be as much coverage, but again, it's summer, people aren't generally coming in, so just so folks know what our hours are now. Any other comments from members of the public? Yes, Rick?
I'll do a little trash talking. The trash issue came up while I was mayor. It came up at the time that Republic acquired Premier. There was a very difficult transition period, and Republic was missing pickups, and a lot of people started complaining. Then people started looking at their bills and comparing their bills with their neighbors. And it was, well, how come I'm paying $300 a quarter and my neighbor's paying $120 a quarter and we have the same cans? I reached out to Republic in my capacity as mayor. They didn't care. I couldn't get past the person staffing the phone. The person staffing the phone wasn't even based in this state. I think she may have been in Arizona. Had no clue where East Amwell Township was. I'm not even sure she knew where New Jersey was. So some residents switched to Cortez. A number of those residents that switched to Cortez wound up switching back to Republic because they weren't happy with Cortez for various reasons, including Republic, when it picks up your can, doesn't look in your can. Those trucks have arms. They lift the can, they dump it. Cortez did not have arms on its truck. So its workers saw what was in your can. If you had things in the can that were not on their list of things they could pick up, they just left your can. And that was creating issues for residents. For example, construction material. You throw some sawed-off 2x4s in your garbage, you're not supposed to do that. Republic takes that. Cortez wasn't. I talked to Cortez about possibly expanding into East Amwell before some of the residents had issues with Cortez. The response from Cortez was, it's too expensive for us to buy garbage cans for those residents. The cans are expensive each. It's not worth it for us to expand into East Amwell. I talked to the mayor of West Amwell, who was having the same problems. Trying to find somebody to replace Republic is very difficult. If you do, they may not be better than Republic. Some of these small haulers are less reliable than Republic. Republic has a driver out, they could find another driver to replace because they're a pretty large organization. A mom and pop shop has a driver out, it's a problem, particularly if the driver's out for a while. You may not get a pickup. This is a very difficult situation. Residents were having success calling Republic and negotiating down their bill. I had one resident who was paying $349 a month. She managed to negotiate her bill down to a little over $100. My understanding is Republic is not showing that kind of flexibility. The last point I'll make is I was told, and I imagine this is right, that Republic is regulated by the state. Now I suspect the state regulates Republic more on rules of how they dispose of waste as opposed to the fees they charge. But someone said to me that you might want to reach out to the regulator and see if the regulator can do anything to help with this. Because Republic is ripping people off. Why one person is paying $349 and the neighbor's paying $120? Because the neighbor's relatively new and the person paying $349 has been with Republic for years, and each quarter or each few quarters, Republic just raises the costs. So the more loyal you are and the longer you are with Republic, the more you're paying, which is nuts. But it's a really hard problem to solve. The best we were able to do is to get residents to negotiate. The other alternative, which Andrea suggested, and maybe you have to play hardball, is neighbors start canceling and sharing with each other. So you get 2 or 3 neighbors who just share a can. That's not permissible under Republic's rules, but Republic's not going to know if Andrea and her neighbors share a can. And then they split the cost. Now that has some complexities, obviously, but it's a neighbor-to-neighbor thing. But otherwise, I'm not sure what to do. Other than West Amwell at least used to, and I think still does, we have a recycling depot once a month. They actually have a garbage depot where you can bring your garbage and throw it in a dumpster. That costs money. You don't get the grants like we do for the recycling. It was costing West Amwell some real money. I asked Zach Rich, who was the mayor at the time, why are you paying for this? And he said, because we have a lot of elderly residents who are used to it, and we're afraid if we take it away, they'll go ballistic. So they were continuing to fund it. You know, that's not such a bad idea if it's not for the cost. I don't know what the cost is. I don't know if West Amwell is still doing it. If they are, maybe they could give you some sense of what it's costing. Could you charge residents some amount per month to come in? That's a lot less than they're paying Republic. Maybe. You're going to have issues of staffing it. You're going to have issues of people, free riders, who just show up before hours or after hours and throw their garbage in.
Non-residents.
Non-residents. I mean, it's a complicated issue, but it is a possibility. But I don't know that you're going to solve for Republic, guys. They have a monopoly, essentially. They do what they want. They don't care. And it's a really difficult situation. I'll add one other thing. I would not go back and retro the rescue squad $25,000. Whatever the budget decision was in 2024, that's done. You're not going back and changing the decision in 2024, and you don't have that $25,000 in this year's budget, and you're already bumping up against a tax increase. $25,000 would increase the tax increase. There's nothing left to cut. I'm sure you guys cut everything you could. So, for what it's worth, I'm not in favor of going back in time. If there wasn't $25,000 given last year, then it wasn't given. The rescue squad's not in here asking for it. So my view is that ship has sailed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your thoughts. Anyone else who hasn't commented? Francis, you want a twofer? All right, if you'll be
Yeah,
brief,
why
how about-
not? I can do it from here,
If
or
I
I
may
can
just
just
add,
go.
I'm just gonna add for the record, I don't know that we didn't give the money last year. So
Well, I asked her to check, she will, it's in the budget as being there, it still can be resolved, the last I heard, and it was secondhand, was it had not been received.
Well, one thing I can tell you is my recollection when I had all those meetings with the squad, the treasurer himself told me they received the money last year. So
I
I
will
gotta,
double check, and if I am wrong or was given wrong information, it's amazing the amount of wrong information that gets emailed around here or contacted. All I know is, I'm the Mikey of East Amwell Township. When somebody's got a beef, they come to Mikey because they know I'll come down here and I'll say it, and if I haven't had the time to double, triple, quadruple check, whatever, if they haven't received it, if money is still sitting there, they should get it. And there was just talk about, well, you know, West Amwell was afraid that if they discontinued the garbage collection, that there would be a lot of turbine and formed fecal matter interfacing at a high rate of speed in the direction of the committee. And quite frankly, yeah, one person, one vote, one complaint can always be backed up by lots. The line of least resistance, the money sitting there, is if it has not been received and cashed, that it get given to them, and I have no problem going around and getting.
well, just give me a chance to look into
Sure,
whether we
and
did
let
or
me-
not last year.
Sure.
My recollection is when I was meeting with them on the staffing issues and the call issues, we talked a lot about funding, and the treasurer told me that they received the money. I can't tell you, I don't know every check that comes
I
in
don't know,
here.
all I know is that last week I heard they hadn't received the money, which is why I'm raising it here. I'm not saying there's not a FUBAR or a screw up or something goes left and right. It's volunteer organizations. That's why we don't get charged a whole lot or bills. All I'm saying is, if it hasn't been received, make it right, and I appreciate you putting the money in there for 2025, because it is a bargain if you need it.
Yeah,
Me,
just give me a chance to look
I
into it, I
will.
simply don't know. I did ask them for a written request this year, because I wasn't personally gonna be sitting at the table doing the budget, so
Sure.
they came to me, I said, just put it in writing and I'll submit it with all the other
yeah, and
needs
that's the
requests,
one
which
that
is
you
what he did.
got a month
Like
ago,
a couple,
you said.
like a month or two ago.
Couple, yeah,
Yeah.
and I will double check from my end to find out what's, and if I find out, then I will let you know. Courtesy, manners, and consideration, they're reciprocal social contracts, and I think we've all been very good about playing nice in the sandbox together for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in constant contact with the treasurer, and the last time I saw him, I said, I understand we're pushing money into a budget this year for a donation. And I said, we're probably just gonna ask to see the last year's audit to make sure all the things added up, which I think is reasonable, right? That's a reasonable request before we give an organization money. I haven't circled back to him yet, but now we're just putting the budget through now. I'll circle back to him, and if
Yeah.
all those things check out, I don't have a reason why that money wouldn't be released.
Well, no, and I appreciate that, and, you know, I raised the issue today, it's here, whatever, you know, and
No, I appreciate you bringing it up. Like I said, let me give you a chance to look
I'm
into it.
Mikey, and you're Michael.
I could be making a mistake, but I simply just don't have that answer.
Okay, no, and I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, that
May
was
the
bringing it
force
up.
be with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, seeing no one else, we're close to the public at this point.
Dante, I have one more thing.
Yes, please, please, go ahead.
I was texting back and forth with Jenna a little
Yes.
bit. We were also gonna appoint, the historic preservation secretary, that I wasn't sure if all of the paperwork was done on that.
Lisa Reed, who is the recycling and environmental commission, said that she would be interested in the historic preservation committee position, which I then forwarded the email to Bev and Linda, and then I don't know.
I talked to her, I said, did they offer you the job? And she said, no. So, I think
So we
she's
just
waiting
have to
for
follow up
somebody to
on it.
reach out and discuss it, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Were there any issues in terms of term
mean, I would recommend her to do it, she's doing well as the recycling environmental
Yeah.
commission, we need it.
So Frank, so legal question on that, so, if this item didn't get onto the agenda, are we prevented from taking action on it now?
No, I don't think you are.
Okay. All right, so, Jenna, would you like to make a motion?
Sure, I'd like to make a motion to hire Lisa Reed as the Historic Preservation Committee Secretary for the terms of contract to be worked out.
We expect her to accept it, right, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Okay.
reached out to, I had mentioned it to her when I hired her for environmental, she said, let me get my feet wet and stuff, and then she reached out and said, I reviewed it, I can handle it, and then I sent her that so she could better and stuff and everything,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I assume terms are gonna be somewhat similar to the other secretaries, right? So let's get a second, see if we have any other discussion. Do you want a second,
Yes,
Bev?
yes.
All right, so Bev seconds. Any other questions from folks? I mean, to me, if someone's expressed an interest, we're having difficulty finding secretaries. Someone who apparently is well recommended is gonna be looking for similar terms. Seems to me like it's a good idea, and, you know, Jenna can follow up with that and do the paperwork, but if we approve, that person could get started.
Yeah, I have no
Yeah.
problem.
You guys good with that?
Yeah.
So we're gonna
All
write
right,
a
so-
resolution to hire her, or are we, we just need to
Yeah,
know?
so this would be a motion, yeah, to hire her, we would do a resolution to meet the terms of this, and I guess Jenna can provide the terms, and, you know, if Frank thinks we need to take a vote the next time. But basically, if it's on similar terms, I would say this motion should give her the authority to hire her on similar terms to her
So,
secretary.
to hire her by what date? Just because you would have to start her on the payroll for that
Well,
too?
Jenna can work that out, if
Okay.
we approve it today,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
she and Beth can work out
Hire
details.
her tomorrow.
I think it should be that the committee's authorizing Dante as mayor to sign a memorandum of
Okay.
employment on terms to be negotiated.
Perfect.
So we're giving Dante the authority to sign the general.
And you
fill
guys
in the
work out the
details,
terms?
and then we'll work it out.
Perfect, thank you, Frank.
That's what I
Okay.
meant to say.
So, yeah, so, with that, so Jenna, would you like to motion to amend your motion?
I motion to amend my motion
Okay.
to what Frank said.
All right, and do you second that,
Yes,
Beth?
I second that.
Okay, any further discussion for folks? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? All right, thanks for your work on that, and thanks for the clarifications, okay? We'll follow up with the resident to do that. Any other item? I know you guys have been working on lots of stuff. Any other matter for tonight?
No, great yard. Anybody get a chance to use it? Actually, Jenna wants to go. She's supposed to get me,
No,
but
you should say that.
I showed up at our new hours, the new, service, it went well.
Good.
I think when I was there, seems to be they were up to about 35 or 40 people already, so seems to be working out. We're continuing talks as we could staff up about opening up during the week, but that's a big wish because we don't have the staff.
Can you remind members of the public when it's open?
So it's the first Saturday of the month. The Great Yard is open for brush, small branches drop off obviously at the Great Yard. I think it's
7 a.m. to noon.
7, 8, is that same hours as recycling or no?
No, recycling's 9 to noon, I believe.
Okay, so he's there 7 to 12, okay. All right, and everybody, they were checking IDs and everybody checked out. So.
Well, that's great, and, yeah, if we have an issue, I think one resident raised a concern last time. That a friend of hers brought her stuff but they were out of jurisdiction, so.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
So I don't know that it'll happen, but, you know, if it comes up, be aware, we'll see what.
Yeah, I asked the staff to use discretion, in case something like that
Okay.
happened. That would be a reasonable explanation. Hey, I'm dropping off for my neighbor who lives in town. Like, that would be reasonable.
Maybe there's something that the resident provide a letter or something, I don't know,
Yeah,
whatever they think,
Yeah,
but.
so we could talk to Jason
Yeah,
about
I
that.
mean, I don't think that's gonna be a big occurrence, but one
No.
resident had inquired about it, and I had said at the
Yeah.
time, well, you know, if something like that comes up, we'll try to be reasonable.
Yeah, I think so.
But thanks for kicking it off, and again, so the folks know, the price for grinding just became prohibitively expensive, and so we've embarked on our new program to try to continue this service where folks can drop off brush, and instead of grinding, we're gonna have an expense of carting it away, and we're gonna be evaluating this as a pilot for a while, and we said we'd start it up in May, and here we are, so Mike, thanks for getting it kicked off, and let us know how that goes. We'll have to, you and DPW folks have to monitor to see whether we need to revisit it.
Yeah, I think the first month was successful. We'll see how it continues.
you know, like you said, it's a pilot, it can evolve. I think the same thing holds true, by the way, with those cleanup days. I mean, I don't think they're totally off the board. We continue to watch that, and if people need it, I think, Rick, the price of like a compactor, I think it's like $6.50 a day or something for a garbage truck, if I remember correctly, if that sounds about right to me, so, you know, I think that's what they pay when they do the cleanup day, because they bring a compactor over there.
They
So,
brought 3 to 4.
yeah, but I think if I got those numbers right, that is about what I remember them saying, about $6.50 for the
That would be
compactor.
right, because I think it was around 500 when we were doing it, and I'm sure it's gone up a fair amount.
Yeah, so that's what it would cost, and, you know, the concerns about the garbage, my garbage company's changed, I don't know how many times, but it keeps changing, so, it was Cortez, then Casella, then LMR, now it's Casella being billed through LMR, so it's complicated, for sure. But anyway, that's where I'm at.
Okay, thank you. Going once, going twice, anything else? Thanks for the work. We had a lot of things on the agenda and we're moving forward, so thanks to everyone. Thanks to the public for showing up. Without objections, I may have a motion to adjourn for the night.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Cass, we're done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda, thank you for all your work on this.